in grad school, I was really struck by the passion and the freshness of these medieval poems as they expressed a woman longing for her friend or her lover. And there are hundreds of poems like the setting you just heard were preserved without their melodies, but 6 survive with melodies. So I learned the notation, I transcribed them, arranged them, and began performing them. And at first, I thought of these songs in terms of time. So I would program them with other medieval songs. But that all changed when I started to look at the text more deeply. The texts are in Galician Portuguese, which is a medieval language that ultimately evolved into Galician and Portuguese. And I was lucky that I live in an area where there's a very rich Portuguese community. And I ended up striking up a lifelong friendship with Fatima Montero, who was at Harvard. She was completing her PhD in Romance languages and literature.
Yeah, I remember you brought her in to some of our concerts where she performed with us reading these wonderful texts.
And then she also helped me get to Portugal, first for research and later for performances. And just working with Fatima, who brought a really interesting perspective because she had this deep academic dive at Harvard and so was very knowledgeable about the history and the poetic traditions. But then from her own heritage, which was both Cape Verdean and Portuguese, she just really had an interesting perspective on it all and shared that with me. As I worked with Fatima, I came to understand that these Cantigas de Amigo were part of a larger tradition. They were preserved and carried by both oral and written means. And when I had the opportunity to sing these songs in places like New Bedford or in Lisbon, I would meet people who related to the songs as something really vital and fresh. Maybe they had learned the text as a child in school, or they'd say, oh, this is like a song that my grandmother sings. So it completely changed my perspective. And as I continued singing these songs, they were no longer relics from a distant past. I really started to see them as threads from the past to the future. We're going to close the program today with Ai Deus, which is one of the Cantigas de Amigo. And this is Daniela and I singing with Telltale Crossing. And the text is, if my friend only knew how lonely I am in Vigo, I'm so in love. I have only my weeping eyes to keep me company. I'm so in love.